The moment itself wasn't dramatic. It happened in the kitchen on an ordinary Tuesday evening. The kind of evening that usually disappears from memory before the week even ends. Our daughter was upstairs finishing homework. The dishwasher hummed softly. I was about to leave for work. I leaned in to kiss my wife goodbye the way I had done for years. She stepped back. Not angrily, not suddenly. Just enough to make the distance clear. "I'm not obligated to do that," she said. The words weren't loud, but they carried a strange finality, like she had rehearsed them in her head before saying them out loud. For a moment I thought I'd misheard her. The room felt unusually still. Even the dishwasher sounded distant. I nodded once, more out of instinct than understanding, then leaned closer just enough for my voice to stay quiet. "Then I'm not either." I left for work a few seconds later. No argument. No slammed doors. Just a quiet sentence sitting between us like something fragile that had already broken. At first I told myself it didn't matter. People say things during tense moments. Words slip out sharper than intended. Marriage survives small moments of irritation all the time. But something about the word obligated stayed with me during the drive. Obligation. It's a strange word to use inside a marriage. It turns affection into duty, kindness into a contract. By the time I finished my shift that night, I wasn't angry. I was thinking, mostly about how many quiet obligations had shaped the life we lived. The next morning looked normal from the outside. Breakfast, coffee, our daughter complaining about a math assignment. But something subtle had shifted in my mind. For years, I had filled small gaps without thinking, scheduling repairs, paying bills early, rearranging my work hours so someone was always available when our daughter needed a ride somewhere. None of it felt like sacrifice at the time. It felt like partnership. Now I kept remembering that single sentence. I'm not obligated, so I began removing the invisible parts. Not dramatically, just carefully. No argument. No accusation, but something inside my head clicked very softly, not loud enough to call suspicion, just a small mental note, because she hadn't mentioned forgetting her wallet until after she walked in. And more importantly, I had never told her about my conversation with Mark, or about mentioning Ashley's. The rest of the day passed normally on the surface. We watched television in the afternoon, ordered takeout for dinner, talked about a show we had been following. But the timing kept circling back in my thoughts. 12 minutes. Just long enough to drive a short distance and turn around. I didn't say anything about it. Instead, I started paying attention. Not in an obsessive way, just small observations. Over the next few weeks, I noticed things I hadn't really registered before. Occasional shopping days that ended earlier than expected. Small purchases from the same plaza showing up on our bank statement. Ashley's appeared more than once. Again, none of it proved anything. But the pattern sat there quietly, waiting. A month later, the answer came without drama. I was reviewing our shared expenses online, trying to organize a few payments. That's when I noticed a parking charge from the shopping plaza's garage. It was time-stamped. 10:17 a.m. The same Saturday morning, she said she was leaving for an entire day of shopping. The exit time was 10:26. 1 minute before the front door opened. I stared at the numbers for a long time. Not because they shocked me, but because they confirmed something simple. She hadn't come back for a wallet. She had turned around immediately after leaving. When I finally mentioned it a few days later, the conversation was surprisingly quiet. We were sitting at the kitchen table when I said it. "That morning you came back after 12 minutes. Why?" She looked at me, confused at first, then cautious. "What do you mean?" "I saw the parking record from the plaza." The silence stretched between us. Not hostile, just heavy. She didn't deny it immediately, which somehow felt more honest than a quick excuse. "I forgot something," she said eventually. "You didn't forget your wallet," I replied calmly. Another pause. Then she exhaled slowly. The kind of breath people take when they realize the story they've been telling doesn't hold anymore. "You mentioned Ashley's," she said. "And? I thought you might go there." The explanation didn't fully answer the question, but it revealed something more important. She had been worried about being seen, which meant the lie had existed before that morning. The 12 minutes hadn't created the problem. They had simply exposed it. Nothing dramatic happened after that. No shouting, no slammed doors. We kept talking, but carefully. Because once a small lie shows itself, it doesn't disappear again. It stays in the room quietly, changing the shape of every future conversation.